And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. Starting things out looking at the 94 angstroms view here. 48 hours of the local yellow dwarf's activity. To see some active regions rising over the east. No sunspots. Strong South Pole coronal hole. And we've got some other views, some filamentary activity around the limbs. Let's take another view here. It's the 193 angstroms. And we appear to have some cycle 25 and some cycle 24 activity once again ready to rise over the east at the same time. So always interesting, always interesting. Let's look at HelioViewer real quick. Here's a 171 angstrom view, and you can see these active regions here. There's a cycle 25. Actually, that's probably a cycle 24 as it's right near the equator. We'll get to that other stuff in a minute. Let's just look at the fields real quick. And there you have the fields, nothing looking particularly oriented, at least on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. We've made some HelioViewer movies here. Here's a slight zoom in of the equatorial region to show the viewers a bunch of plasma filaments suspended up in the northwest, in the northeast as well as the southwest. And we also took an even closer up image here of the active rising region there at 171 angstroms. A little bit of a suspended filamentary tornado type area there. I'll let that play through a second time before we move on, as there's a lot of stuff to cover. And we're doing everything in one video today, so if you want to see everything together, view it on Twitch. Twitch.tv/smAsho, where this is streaming live right now. KP index is at 1, having been either at 1 or 0 for the past 24 hours. And here are these two active regions. The one we see rising there must be cycle 24 as it's so close to the equator. And you can see that cycle 25 region also from the view of stereo A. Not necessarily sunspots, and we'll keep an eye on those. You can read all about this at spaceweather.com. 10.7 centimeter radial flux still at 70. So basically solar minimum conditions here. X-ray flux is still flatlined also. And looking at the real-time solar wind, we just saw a recent shift of the phi angle. This looked like a coronal hole magnetic connection here, and it could be reestablishing itself, so that's something to look at throughout the day. Current solar wind density 3.88 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 356 kilometers per second. There's the data from ACE. This white background is the Discover. Again, there's the ACE. And next we'll look at geospace magnetosphere movies. We're just going to look at the pressure today. That's 4 hours of data. And allow me to get my face off the screen. And there you can see the primary magnetohydrodynamic pressure located in the magnetotail, as the solar wind's looking pretty weak. And we could even see the solar wind speed continue to ramp down and see this get weaker throughout the day. Let's look at geospace ground magnetic perturbations. And there you can see both North Poles, one over Canada, one over Siberia, and the South Pole creeping towards southwestern Australia once again, as it's been doing for who knows how long. And let's talk about supporting the channel, but first, let me bring out Epic Pen, as I forgot to break out the Epic Pen today, folks, so I apologize for this aside. Please support the channel via PayPal if you can. Or perhaps consider doing so via other places, such as Patreon, where we give some cutting-edge information to our patrons before everybody else, as well as on Subscribestar, our latest foray into crowdfunding, as we need lots more funds to accomplish what we intend to this year in 2020, and I suck at asking for money. So please help support the channel, and we will provide some benefits for you on whatever platform. Also, please support us on alternative media such as BitChute. It's bitchute.com/smAsho. And there I hear myself echoing as we are again live. So leave a comment. If you are viewing currently on Twitch, I don't really have time to look at whether we have viewers or not, as this is for various content going to various websites. There's the aurora forecast looking pretty weak. Extremely spiky magnetometer data there provided by the GOES 16 and 14. Really spiky environment there, and we forecasted it yesterday once again as a result of these regions here of a bit of magnetic instability. And those magnetometers are showing those readings because of suspended plasma, and you can see these bunched up red regions here on the Gong 2 data, and that's why we forecasted that. Now we'll look at the line of sight field plot, and you can see that how effective the south solar polar field is and how weak looking the north polar field is, probably just because a bunch of plasma is around the north polar region. And let's move on, as again some active regions are rising in the east. Electrons have chilled out a bit. There's the greater than 2 mega electron volts. Here's the greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volts. And we did see it get into warning areas yesterday, and now it has dipped back down. And I would not expect this to be into warning areas again today, although I was wrong yesterday, so occasionally it does happen, folks. Here's the total electron content, and you will expect to see some GPS errors around the equator at noon. I'll just let that play through, as the number of electrons up there do affect GPS communications as well as satellite drag, satellite charging hazards, etc. Next we'll look at the ionosphere. Here is 6 hours of data. And it's looking pretty normal here, although we still do see the occasional oddities out here in the South Pacific, as those areas have been seen charging up at nighttime repeatedly through the past couple months. And here's the latest image. That one coming in at 10 o'clock UT. Now, I'm not sure if you were aware, but our videos have been getting demonetized on YouTube. So the ones that are politically charged, such as this one here, about dumpster fires and train wrecks, and dumpster fire train wreck known as a DNC, those are apparently suitable for monetization. But our last 2 daily space weather videos, which provide almost entirely nothing but data about the sun and other space weather phenomenon, limited monetization. And I'm sure that right after everybody stops viewing the videos, YouTube will determine that it's suitable for all advertisements. Let's talk about trending stuff in the economy. CDC confirms possible first case of community transmission in the U.S. of coronavirus. Dow set to drop another 400 points today. And we'll just stay there and move on to the pressure maps. Here's the current pressure situation. This is the GFS forecast, courtesy windy.com, who has a great free mobile app, by the way, also. Perhaps consider downloading that if you'd like some more data. Here's where things will be at approximately 12 noon my time tomorrow, according to the GFS forecast. Excuse me. Next, we'll look at the last 24 hours of earthquakes. Extremely deep quake coming in about 24 hours ago here at Fiji. Looks actually quite close to the island there. Let's just check the location of that. And right in between Fiji and Tonga is where that 600 plus kilometer deep quake struck. In the deep earthquake capital of the world, that was a 4.6 magnitude. And we're just going to scroll up the list as we do most days. so our viewers can view this information without having to go to a million different websites. There's another deep quake in Alaska. That one a little farther inland than most of the deep quakes we've been seeing there, which are a little closer to the southern coast. And just scrolling up, no 6+ magnitude quakes. Here's a deep quake at South America. And based on the deep quakes that we've been seeing in the past weeks, these are my two favorite spots for a large quake at the surface. This area here in western South America, as well as this region here north of Australia. Those are where we've been seeing the deep quakes, and that is where I would definitely have an earthquake plan, a bug-out bag, and plan to be an asset, not a liability, in the event of a disaster. Popocatepetl erupted yesterday, and check out this view of it. Talk about incredible. Absolutely crazy blast. Lava being fired out. And check out the slow-mo. It looks exactly like a plasma discharge coming out of the sky. Right here you're going to see a line. Look at that line right there. That is literally liquid and vaporized rocks being suspended in the air. Let's look at that again. Look at that line right there. That is not caused by pressure releasing from the planet. Right in this area. One last time here. Great image of that, and looks like something associated with, well, we're not going to get into it in this video, but incredible eruption from Popocatepetl. This is a USA Today article, and we can't really leave links because there's too many things going on. Let's do the rundown of the past 24. And the past 24 hours of volcanoes included Kluchevskoy back on the list. One of the stratospheric volcanoes we saw erupt in 2019. By the way, volcanoes provide a net cooling effect for the Earth. If people are telling you that volcanoes provide global warming inputs, please shake your head and laugh. Anyway, Kluchevskoy, a lava flow has started. Otherwise, not a lot going on. So Mount Aso also erupting, 6,000 foot plume there. Sakurajima exploded, 7,000 foot plume there. Ibu exploding, 7,000 foot plume there. Dakono, continuous emissions, flight level 7,000 there. Shishaldin back on the list. Some warming of the surface. Consistent with cooling lava deposits, no significant activity. Sami-Sapochnoi in the Aleutian Islands has lowered the alert level. Great Sitkin in the Aleutian Islands has increased the alert level. Popocatepetl producing a 20,000 foot plume. San Miguel now on the list. Produced a 1,300 foot ash plume. Nevado del Ruiz, volcanic ash observed in satellite. Revenador exploding, 15,000 foot plume there. And Sabancaya, unable to detect. And I don't know what I got here. This is a new one on me. Let's look at lightning here at lightningmaps.org. We just saw some bolts happen in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. There's the most recent strike. And we see a bit of lightning there in the Gulf of Mexico. Also, check out lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, it could save your bacon, or it could cause people to think that you're controlling the weather. Either one, we highly encourage. There's a U.S. Doppler radar map. Rain, rain, go away. It's wintertime. Please be replaced with snow. If you think the planet's warming, here is the current northern hemisphere snow mass balance, which, as you can clearly see here, is 2 standard deviations above normal, as this here is 1 standard deviation above normal. It's awfully close to 2 standard deviations above normal for the 3rd year in a row. And by the way, folks, this is how glaciers form. I don't know if you've ever taken a geology class, but this is how glaciers form, as snow provides a positive feedback mechanism. In other words, if you get enough snow, you get a snowball Earth. Here is the null school jet streams. There's the western world. Doubled up jet stream over the Atlantic Ocean. And here is the eastern world. We see some extreme bends down there in the southern jet, as well as doubling and tripling of the jet stream in both hemispheres. Next, we'll take a look at the water vapor maps over Europe and Africa. As we got a request, and we try to fulfill our viewers' requests. There's the current state of affairs with water vapor over that region. And here's a region a little closer to home, as I am located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. There's a U.S. water vapor map. And no need to zoom in on anything today. Thanks, smAsho team. Stay tuned for bonus features, and there's going to be a lot of them. First of all, check out solon.info/solar for all kinds of data about the sun. And we are waiting for some updates with things like the solar polar fields for that. Next, we'll look at the intensitygram to show you 0 sunspots. No need to zoom in on that. Next, the colorized magnetogram. No significantly magnetically organized areas. And we'll bring up one other view here. How about the 335 angstroms? And there's 48 hours of the local yellow dwarf in 335 angstroms. And next we're going to move into a lot more stuff, because there's still plenty of stuff to cover, so don't go anywhere, folks. This is not an intermission. This is just more